What's going on, y'all? Halves and a Half Now, season 4, episode 20, back in business. This episode, it was really nothing much. It basically for the first damn near 30 minutes it focused on Mitch and Benny and David. Girl. Okay. But I'm so mad. Tyler gonna have Veronica next week coming in with that blonde wig looking like Joanne the scammer. Bitch, what? Is this what you like? Look like somebody else, but whatever. Um, moving on from that. Why that shit make me laugh so hard? Like, is this what you want? No, bitch. She was like, I'm finna be in my Caucasian house, in my Caucasian neighborhood, driving my Caucasian car. Y'all gotta follow Joanne Scammer. That is my motherfucker right there. But anyway, moving on. But so the episode basically starts off where it left off last week with Benny and David tussling. I ain't even gonna say fighting. Them motherfuckers was not. They was wrestling, okay. And yeah, I fucked your wife and all this stuff. I said, Benny, if you don't shut your ass up, you are not making the situation any better. And this just show how immature Benny is. Okay, we all been saying it. Benny dumb as shit. He naive. He's immature, and he's just showing it. He just doesn't. Girl, you got some growing to do, okay, Benny? You got some growing to do, and hopefully you'll get that soon before you get yourself fucked up. All right. If it wasn't for Mitch, who pulled the gun out? Was it who had the gun? Cause that gun came out. I missed something last week. I must have turned my head and start, fixing this shit up so I can record and turn back. I said, bitch, who has the gun? Okay, and next thing you know, Mitch was out there trying to break shit up. Like, no, stop it, Benny, chill. I got it. That's why I fucked your wife. That's why I banged your wife. And your wife like it good and young. And your wife this and your wife that. I said, Benny, you trying to get your phone back on. You trying to get your business back in play. And you out here talking about you fucked this man's wife. That's the main reason why he turned the shit off. Because you fucking the bitch wife, okay? And you just throwing it all up in his face. And you really think that's going to do something? That's going to make shit worse. Because David said, let me tell you, young buck, okay? You keep on playing. I want you gone. Unless, gonna tell Mitch this because Mitch told Benny, get your dumb ass up in there, okay, and let me handle this shit. I said, white man to the rescue. Mitch always thinking he fixing some shit. Okay, you super saver hoe ass motherfucker, but you did it this time. But I don't know. He took David said, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not turning no motherfucking phones on. Okay? This is what I'm gonna tell y'all. You, him, y'all motherfuckers need to leave this town, okay, by the morning. Because if you come back here and I see that y'all ass is still here in the morning, oh, it's gonna be some hell being brought down on this motherfucker. I said, David, you can do all this shit to Veronica. You leave and tell Veronica off one good time, and all of a sudden you got some balls like a motherfucker. Spent a couple of hours in jail, and you came out with some balls like a motherfucker. Where is this David coming from? Okay, David just went back to his gutter days, okay? He was like, don't let the tax bracket fool you, okay? Because a nigga came from the hood, all right? I was like, mm. And Mitch was like, you must don't know who I am, David. I was like, wait a minute, you calling him by first name basis? I'm sitting here like, hold up, they know each other. But then I said, no, hold up. They don't love you like I love you. And slow down. You know what? And I was sitting here like, slow the fuck down. What the hell is going on? Girl, I figured it out in that moment. We was all thinking, because remember, we said his family. Either he was gonna be part of the Malone family, all right, or either he gonna be part of some crooked ass cop family, okay? And come to find out he was a motherfucking Malone. Because the phone was ringing. I said that is a loud phone and a loud system because David had his phone connected to the car to be heard with the windows up and the sky roof closed and the doors closed for us to hear that phone so loud because, Mitch was like, it's ringing inside the car. You need to take your ass in the car and go get it. And that person will tell you exactly who the fuck I am. I said, Mitch, come on, Mitch. Anyway, he go get in the car because Mitch had his keys. He get in the car. He answered the phone. Yeah, what's up? David, you know who this is. Mama Rose? Fuck you on. I'm in the middle of some stuff. I'm like, I know you going and tussling back and forth with the gentleman in front of you. And he was like, wait a minute, what, you watching me? She said, bitch, I'm right behind you. Girl, they was up in the old undercover detective ass car. I said, look at this shit. Because if y'all don't know, them the cop cars that, they put the undercover cops in. I'm like, we know y'all undercover. We know y'all either undercover or plain clothes. That's what the same cops that y'all, same cars all the fucking time. I said, really, you ain't sneaking up on nobody. But anyway, so basically she was like, that's you know who he is. His name is Mitchell. You know his last name? She was like, I do not know his last name, okay? Who the fuck is it? Would you stop talking in riddles, okay? Just come on out with it and tell me who it is, because obviously he's somebody to you, okay? Malone. That's right. That's my grandson, Mitchell Malone. He don't want to be no gangster or nothing, but the nigga just called me whenever he needs a favor. It's understandable that he don't want to be up in his life, but I come through for my grandson. He wanted to buy this tow yard. I was gonna buy it for him, but he said no because he didn't want this drug life and this gangster life money. So I was like, okay, cool, you do you. But when he needed a favor, I always pull through. Now see what you gonna do. You're gonna put his business back in business, okay? You're gonna turn the phones on. You're gonna forget all about this shit. I know Beanie out here banging your wife, okay? But you need to let that shit go, all right? And put that shit back in business, all right? So basically, Mama Rose got that shit turned back on. Mitch standing there like he done really did something. You ain't do shit, Mitch. All you did was go whine and cry to your goddamn grandmama. That's what the fuck you did, okay? Mommy, grandma, ain't gonna turn their phones back on. Oh my god. Can you do something? The big man is bullying me. That's what you did, Mitch. Can't tell me no different, okay? But anyway, David pulled the fuck off like, ain't this about a bitch? He called Oscar. Yo, Oscar, put that shit back in. Put that shit back on. Are you sure? Hell yeah, I'm sure. Go on ahead and do it like right quick, right now, okay? It's gonna be some trouble. Trouble. Click. All right. Oscar turned and called and got the phones turned back on. Watch it say Brandon. All right. So dude go back up in there talking to Benny. Benny like, I was finna bust his ass. All this stuff. I said, Benny, shut the fuck up. Benny is annoying the hell out of me. I like Benny better when he was asleep for half a season. Okay, I liked him better then because he didn't have to talk. He is good to look at, but when he opened up his mouth, it's just like, hush, girl, pause. Y'all saw the season premiere episode preview for If Loving You Was Wrong? I cannot wait. It's gonna be one. What the fuck did Travis do to damn Ramsey? Ramsey was up in a box. What type of shit we doing up on this? It's gonna be hot, okay? I can't wait. I can't wait. It's come back next month. Anyway, moving on. So basically, Mitch was like, I got the phones turned back on. Sometimes all you gotta do is talk and all this shit. And you ain't gotta fight and do all this stuff. And as soon as the phones turn back on, we get all these people calling in. Ring, ring, ring. Benny's towing, all this shit. So they happy about that. Girl, little do they know. Jim plotting, scheming ass. He like, bitch, let me tell you something. I'm not through with Candace ass, okay? Lloyd from the bank come down there to talk to Jim and was like, so, she came down there and she got the money and, she wanted it in cash. And he was like, for real? Oh, okay. But, Melissa or whoever the fuck it was, two other people, they was kind of pissed off because they had to go get all this money. But, they was looking at some papers and, I noticed some shit. He was like, what you noticed, bruh? I noticed that, she falsified some documents. What you talking about? Benny, he got the deed in his name for the tow company, but he didn't sign that deed. She signed it for him. She signed his name. And then Jim was like, okay, so this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna call Miss Young up. Okay, this is what he called it. You're gonna call Miss Young up. And not only did we already scratch that agreement that we already put that little tiny and small print at the end of that, loan stuff, that she has till 2 weeks to pay it back unless everything's gonna go into foreclosure. Scratch that off because we finna do a whole new thing. We finna flip this, reverse it, and turn this shit all the way around. You gonna tell her that she needs to bring back that $2 million right about now. Okay. She has till tomorrow, or else she will be arrested for falsifying documents. And then it was like, she ain't got that cash on her. It was like, you sure she ain't got no cash on her? It was like, unless she done came and broke into the evidence office, of course she ain't got that cash on her. I said, ain't this about a bitch? Candace is just getting fucked every way in every hole. What the hell? I'm just sitting here like, damn, girl, how you? I just want to know how she gonna get out of this shit. Like, Candace better not meet her maker. Be accounted for all the bullshit that she done did before Veronica get accounted, and let Veronica ass skate free and keep doing her shit. Bitch, I'm gonna be mad. Okay. But moving on from that, I said, damn. Speaking of Candace, Candace in the car. She talking to Erica. Erica called her and was like, yo, Grayson, he flaked, okay? So it's on and popping if you want, with David. She was like, okay, cool. So go to the bar where he's always at in the hotel. And this is what I want you to do. What you want me to do, girl? Okay, this is what I want you to do. Listen carefully. So you're going to act like you broke up with a man or something. So you need to find one of your dudes or whatever and make it seem like y'all having an argument and y'all finna break up and shit. And next thing you know, he gonna come over, he gonna come by the bar because he's all in his feelings and stuff, and then he's gonna offer you a handkerchief or a tissue because David, he like his mistresses passive and aggressive. Passive aggressive, that's the type of women that he like. So you gotta be very passive, very submissive and stuff like that. Act like the damsel in distress. Okay, damsel in distress, I got that. What else you want me to do, girl? Okay, so once you do all that, he's gonna offer you a handkerchief or a tissue, blow him off. Okay, blow him off when he first do it, and then he gonna come back. Okay, he gonna come back. This is we trying to reel him in. We ain't gonna do too much tonight. Girl, you sure this gonna work? Look, I know him. It's gonna work. Watch. Okay, girl, bitch, I'm gonna be there in a second. All right, I'll call you and let you know when everything goes on. Okay, girl, bye. So then they go to the hotel. Child, she done got one of her little gay acting buddies to come there, and he was pulling off a con. She was like, Candace girl, Miss Candace. I said, you know what he sounded like? Miss Peaches. Oh, when you go to the store, could you give me another kid, bitch? And next time you felt make sure it was regular, because last time you got me Supergirl. That is my motherfucking movie, Low Down Dirty Shame. But anyway, Wang, what happened? So she in there, they acting like they just broke up. Like he went from, hey bitch, to, look, I'm sorry that you found out about my wife, okay? But you had a wife and you didn't tell me about it. But I love you and all this stuff. And they being extra loud with it. Because David just so happened to walk in at the bar and overhears this conversation. And then, they acted all out. David offers the tissue because she's crying, putting on the fake waterworks. And she was like, leave me alone. And she goes out, getting on the phone, calling Candace and like, it worked, girl. And she was like, Mom, yes, it's me. It worked. He was like, what else you want me to do? You want me to keep going? She was like, nah, we going to chill out for tonight and we going to pick it up tomorrow. This enough for the night. She was like, okay, girl. I said, look at y'all cunning ass bitch. I understand you trying to get revenge, Candace, but you went too deep as it is, okay? What the fuck you about to do to David? I really want to know. How you gonna take him for? I hope he wisens up and don't be so stupid to fall for this bullshit. I really hope. As much as he tried so hard to put off Maggie Day advances, you better do the same damn thing this time. But then again, there's nothing really stopping him because he is done with Veronica. So goddamn, don't fall for it, okay? Power of the puss. Anyway. Candace keep getting a phone call from Hannah. She finally answered the phone. Hannah is like, girl, let me tell you something. I know that Quincy Jr. is in the hospital, okay? And I want you to let me have him. She said, bitch, stop calling me. Click. I said, Candace, why you gotta be so cold? So cold. All right. And then she called again. Candace was like, stop fucking calling me, and threw her phone out the window. I said, bitch, you that man? You gonna throw your phone out the window, girl? Get your ass up and go get that shit, okay? So after that, she finally, Hannah ass, she goes over there to Candace's house. Who we see that we thought we was done with for the moment. Girl, Pearl, the nosy neighbor, is just all on Candace's lawn, just looking like, I said, can you snoop anymore? Obviously. I'm just like, goddamn. Goddamn, why don't you just go ahead and break into the house, okay? Because that was her next step. She was going to try to get on the inside to see what was really going on. And so Hannah pulled up and was like, hey, girl, what's up? And she was like, oh, you startled me, bitch. What's going on? She was like, why you over here? You waiting for Candy? She ain't here, girl. Oh, okay, so what, you going home? No, I'm going to be standing down here waiting. For real, so it must be really important. Yeah, it really is. About that dude that you said, that was over here. You got that picture? Girl, yeah, I got that picture. Here it is right here. I usually don't walk around with evidence like this, but here. It was like, oh my God, it's a picture of Quincy. It was like, it was a white guy that came out of there and all this shit. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, she's just spilling it all. And then she talking to Hannah said something to her. She was like, so what, you don't believe me? You don't believe me? You just like my kids. They think just because I miss one thing, I got Alzheimer's and all this shit. She goes into detail about how, one son is on the force and one son-in-law was the chief of police and the husband used to be a police, all that shit. Then she started saying it stank out there. I said, Lord Jesus, help me. Don't tell me that the body is trying to stink already. That's quick. It's really coming up from the earth. I'm like, is she playing or what? Because she said she smelled something, but Hannah didn't smell it. I said, Quincy, goddamn. But at that moment in time, here comes what's that girl name? Candace. Mind you, Candace was talking to Erica in front of Brandon's house, aka Oscar. Found out this motherfucker got a wife, got kids, and all that shit. And she was like, she gonna fuck this motherfucker up and turn that shit out. Not now. She gonna wait for the kill. I said, he got a wife and kids? God damn, these motherfuckers. Scammers, okay? Y'all taking lessons from Joanna Prada for real. Scams, okay? But he really living in this Caucasian house. But Candace pull up. And this scene got me here. She pulls up and she goes and tells Hannah, what the fuck do you want? Love. I know you don't want to fuck with me. I'm not here to argue with you. Just let me have Quincy Jr. You really want me to let you have my son? Girl, fuck out of here. She was like, do you got any place to go? You know I ain't got nothing. She was like, I only got $846 to my name. She was like, you do? You do? Okay, give me the money. I said, what? Candace, give me the money. She said, give me the money. I was like, you gonna take your mama last dime? And Hannah really gave her the money. I said, no, the fuck you not. She was like, what else you got? She said, you know I ain't got nothing else. She said, bitch, I can't even buy a purse with this. Take this shit and get the fuck out of here. And then she was like, you know what? And don't walk on my damn grass either. I said, you cold-blooded ass bitch. You are cold-hearted. Now, Candace, there is some stuff that you really didn't need to do. You didn't need to do that to your mama. Y'all need to fix this shit because I'm getting tired of it. Because y'all... I'm just sitting here like, are you serious? Okay. And then she gonna say something. You know what? Come back. You want Quincy Jr. I'll let you have him if you tell Benny to go ahead to sue the Criers. She was like, why you need to sue the Criers? Okay. She was like, because I need my money back and he need his too. It was like, it's about him. That should be his money. But they don't owe Benny nothing. I said, hold up. Hannah, I was on your side for a slight second until you said this shit. They don't owe him nothing. These people, are you serious? Wyatt ran over your son. He was in a fucking coma for a week or so. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know what was going on. All right? And they lied and covered it all up and they knew what was going on and you was working for them and they just tiptoeing around this issue around you. And you say they don't owe him nothing? Girl, if you don't get your slave ass out of here, I'm not here for that shit, bitch. They owe you everything. They owe him every damn thing. They damn near took his life and they don't owe him nothing. Girl, what is your problem? You need to get out of this mentality. I just don't. Snap the fuck out of it and get back to ratchet torture, Hannah. Because I know you did some things back in your day. Okay, get back to that, And when she said that shit, she was like, really? You'll do some shit like that? Hannah walked the fuck out and she walked all over that grass. I said, you bargained your son for Benny to sue for some money. You might as well sell your son on the black market, Candace. And then has the nerve to be up in her bed talking to Jeffrey later on, talking about some, I'm in too deep. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna give my son up for adoption. I mean, I love him so much. I said, you do. I mean, I know you love him, but really? Really, girl? As much as she said, you don't need to be in nothing like this. I don't want Hannah with her, cause Hannah ain't fit to raise no kid. And then, they started talking about Jeffrey. He was like, well, she ain't like my mama. Hannah just shows that she want, that compassionate love and all that stuff. And she was like, you don't know Hannah like I know Hannah. I said, well, damn, cause somebody just tell us exactly what it is that Hannah did. She acting like Hannah literally beat the shit out of her, neglected her. I know she was a little hoe back in her day too, like mother, like daughter. So I understand that probably neglected her just a little bit or whatever, and she never got over that. She ain't know who her daddy was and all that shit. But damn, she acting like the girl then, beat the black onto her or some shit. It was just, I'm sitting here like, girl, what's the story? Put it out there so we can know. You trying to make this shit deep, and I'm trying to figure it out. Puzzle pieces and shit. Hannah, she was like, I can't have no kids like this. It's like, look at all the stuff that I'm into. One day it's going to catch up with me. And it is catching up with me now. I said, you think, bitch? You think? Okay. That line when Hannah told her, because you don't know what it's like to be a mother. I said, oh. Speaking of Hannah. Hannah goes over there to Catherine's house, right? Catherine was like, I'm glad you're here. So you going back to the hospital? And she was like, I mean, you going up there to see Wyatt? I mean, I was going to the hospital, but I guess I can go pop up on him. I guess, I'm like, Catherine, get your ass up. You got up enough time to go switch robes, okay? You probably washed your ass and switched your robes, okay? That's all you did. That's all you did. You probably switched the robes 3 times that I seen you, because you had on the blue one, last time you had on the floor one. What the hell? You can't get up and go to the hospital and see your son. Maybe if he heard your voice and know that you was there, he'll probably wake up like, I'm here, Mom. Something like that, okay? But no. She was like, Hannah, read this. I just redid my will. She was like, girl, what you do that for? What, you sick? Okay, the cancer then came back. What's going on, girl? Tell me. And I was like, no. I said, Hannah, shut the fuck up and read the paper. I'm sitting here like, I already know. You about to come into some money. When she finally read the paper, because Hannah, she was like, girl, you got your will together? Girl, I ain't got shit. What I need a will for? She was like, you gonna need one after you read this. Girl, Catherine left her $5 million when she died. And I said, you know what? She said, and don't say you're not going to take it. I don't want it. I said, bitch, yes, you do. You need to ask up for an advancement, at least $500,000. Okay, you need to get some place to stay. You don't even need a house. You need a condo or a townhouse or whatever, some shit. You need something. All right, you only got $800 some dollars to your name. You ain't even got a grip. You ain't even got a stack. You only got 800. Like, come on, girl, stop playing. And Catherine was like, you gonna take this shit, okay? You gonna take it. She was like, well, I don't never need it. I hope that you die. I die before you and all this. I said, this submissive ass attitude. No, girl, I'm not here for this shit, okay? I'm not here for it. But Hannah done came into some money, y'all. And that's what happened on this episode. Listen. I can't wait till next week when Veronica popped up there and was like, is this what you want? That shit just, when women change themselves to fit what the man wants. I hate that shit. But I can't wait. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about this episode. If I missed something, put it down in the comments. Let's discuss what y'all feel gonna happen in the next 3 episodes. And how do you feel the season finale gonna be? Because they said it's gonna be a big one, bitch. But I'll see y'all later. Peace. I was in the middle of editing this and just remembered, bitch, Hannah told Catherine, yo, so if I need some bail money, would you bail me out of jail? Catherine was like, yeah, but girl, you finna commit a crime. She was like, probably. All right. She was like, girl, what you finna do? Catherine, girl, don't worry about it. You shouldn't, you know, what is plausible deniability, okay? Just all you need to know. Hannah then took her ass to the motherfucking hospital and stole Lil Quincy. So now Hannah ain't gonna be, she gonna be on the run next week. Catherine gonna be laughing her ass off. Like, bitch, are you serious? Hannah, Christian Hannah, girl, stop playing. That's what I wanted to put out there because I remembered it that quick. But y'all tell me how y'all feel. Now, I'll see y'all later for real this time. Peace.